Hi, it's Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're taking a look at the problems and how to basically set up your new phone line from Virgin Media when the switchover happens from your traditional analog copper lines to the new fibre lines that come from your cable modem. So if you're a Virgin Media customer, if you're going to be doing the switchover, which most regions will be on a slow rollout across the country, you will have either a Super Hub 3, Super Hub 4 or the new Super Hub 5. Effectively, they all work in the same way. You will be sent in the post one of these adapters. So this is a BT style plug to RJ11. The names doesn't really make any difference, but basically that is your telephone end and that is the modem end. So it's relatively straightforward. You get a little introduction leaflet, tells you all about it, and on the back it basically goes through the instructions. It's very straightforward and simple. But if you're someone who deals with computer stuff all the time, then it makes a lot of sense. And for a lot of people out there, there's probably going to be those that are a little bit confused, not sure what's going on or how it works and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to try and go through today, explain some of the things that are happening, and obviously some of the things where if you're experiencing problems, why you're experiencing problems. So let's start at the very beginning. So the actual lead that you're provided is essentially just replacing one of these. So this is your traditional BT style wall box. Yours may have more than one socket, or the socket may be in a slightly different place, but effectively it's the same deal. So normally when you have your traditional landline telephone, such as this G Mark, you'll have what is known as a BT style plug. So these have been around for a very long time, since probably the mid 80s, late 70s possibly. Anyway, I digress. Potentially you might also have one or more of these around the house, or an extension socket. So this is a splitter. So this takes a single BT plug and splits into two outputs. So if you've got a telephone maybe in another room, you possibly have an extension running from one of these ports to that other room. So basically cables running through the house. Now unfortunately, due to the way that the new system works, some of these devices may not work as intended. Now the BT system, or the BT phone lines, or however your BT socket is come through from Sky, Virgin, whoever it is, the actual physical BT style connection has a limited number of phones or devices that can be physically connected to it. This is known as a REN number, or ringer extension number. So normally for the traditional old school copper wires, you'd be looking at a REN value of a maximum of 4 devices. So but essentially 4 telephones throughout the house. Now with some of the new hubs, the Super Hubs 3, 4 or 5, it seems that some of those don't actually support such a high REN value. So if you do have multiple extensions coming off of your BT socket, or multiple phones, maybe you've got a fax machine, sometimes those will actually have a REN value of 2. You can look on the back of your machine and it'll tell you, but essentially a device like this should have a REN value of 1. So you can have up to 4 of these on a traditional old style BT socket. So where that gets tricky is, yeah, like I said, with these new adapters, these potentially will only support maybe 2 or 3 REN devices. So you have to be a little bit careful what you're doing. So if you're plugging extension into these and then an extension into that, and you've got multiple devices, potentially your system may not work at all, or will have a limited service, maybe 1 or 2 phones will work. And also depends on how long the wires are as well. So that is the first thing. If you're having problems, that is why you're having problems. So let's go through and show you actually how this works. So on your actual cable modem from Virgin Media, if you look at the back of it, which you're probably seeing for some B-roll we took a little bit earlier, you'll see on the back you've got your Ethernet ports, which are the ones towards the top in this particular picture. And underneath there's what is known as telephony ports, or they're marked up as telephone, or they've got a picture of telephone depending on the version you've got. And normally there's going to be 2 ports on there. So what you want to do is to actually get your adapter, like so, and this end, which is known, I believe, as RJ11, plug this into the port marked telephone 1. So that's pretty straightforward, just plug it in. Then all you do is your telephone, which would normally be plugged into a socket such as this. Again, you're probably seeing this from B-roll, which I did a little bit earlier. Literally, all you need to do, really straightforward, is to disconnect it from your wall socket and plug it into your adapter. Your adapter is then plugged into telephone port 1 on the back of your Telewest modem. Sorry, I keep on saying Telewest. It's not Telewest anymore, it's Virgin Media. I get confused. So that's all well and good. That's pretty straightforward how to connect it up. But is it working? So normally if you pick up the phone, after about 5 minutes or so, you should find that you get a normal dialing tone. If for some reason you haven't, it may be because the area that you're in hasn't actually switched over yet. Now this is something which is mentioned in the leaflet, and potentially you'll be getting text messages and or you get something in the post, a letter saying when your actual switchover date is. So if you do this before the actual switchover date, you may find yourself without any service. If that is the case, unplug the cable from the adapter. You can leave the adapter in the modem, that's fine, and just plug that back into your BT wall socket, and then you'll find that your phone will work absolutely fine. For most people, it's going to be a case of waiting until the switchover date, which they will notify you of. For us here in the Bristol region, we're looking at the 13th of November 2023. If you're in a region which is already switched over, then it's absolutely fine, it'll work. But if not, you do have to make sure that you check that your service is actually active. Now, one way of finding out if your service is active, if you log into your Virginmedia Super Hub, you can do that via various different IP addresses, depending if it's in modem only mode or whether it's in router mode. If it's in router mode, generally it's going to be 192.168.0.1. If it's in modem mode, it's going to be 192.168.101. Now, it doesn't actually matter which one of those modes it's in for this adapter to actually work. The telephony system is actually separate from the router and the modem section. So for those of you that are having questions, will it work in modem mode? Will it work in router mode? Yes, absolutely fine. It will work in either mode. So if you have a separate mesh system, which you've purchased separately, and you are running your Virginmedia Super Hub in modem only mode, don't worry, it's absolutely fine. You don't need to switch it back into router mode. So all of that side of your equipment is going to be absolutely fine. So once you've logged into your router, or if it's in modem mode, your modem, you can check on the page, and you'll probably see this again from a picture I took a little bit earlier. You'll see which services are actually active. If your telephony service is highlighted in green, then you are free to use your plug-in adapter. If it's not in green, then it means your telephony service is not activated, which means you're still going to have to rely on your old-fashioned wall socket. Now, when it comes to wall sockets, I'm sure there's going to be some of you out there that are questioning the fact that possibly their main telephone socket for their house is nowhere near their cable modem, which actually can be a potential problem. Now, for those people that are in that position, you can actually contact Virginmedia, and potentially they will send out an engineer to have a look and see what can be done. Realistically, for most people, it's just going to be a matter of running an extension cable. Now, I can already hear the rage in the comments already that you don't want to do that. Unfortunately, this is the way things are going. They are going to be turning off those old-fashioned copper wires. So if you do want to carry on using your landline, then you are going to have to make some sacrifices or have someone come out and actually make some modifications to your cabling. There are other ways of doing it via other things like plug-in adapters to extend Ethernet cables and kind of things like that. But that is probably not for the realm of this video. Maybe if there's enough comments, then we might look into that a little bit later. But realistically, it's going to mean either running some extension cables or getting an engineer from either Virginmedia or a private contractor to come out and actually move your boxes. Another consideration, and this is actually quite an important one, so if you are someone with a disability, or maybe you've got some form of CCTV which is backed up to some kind of security company, and it has to have a 24/7 connection for alarms and all that kind of stuff, or for security purposes, emergency calls, if you have a fall or something, then you are going to be in a lot of trouble, because unfortunately, when you're using this adapter, if you want your telephone line to work, it does have to have power. So you are going to have to leave your cable modem on 24/7 if you wish to have your telephone line working 24/7. And also, if the internet has an outage, unfortunately, your telephone system will as well. Whether or not this is going to be an ongoing problem, who knows? And obviously, if at that point you do have a problem with your broadband and your telephone's on the same system, you are almost impossible to contact Virginmedia to let them know there is a problem. So you may have to use your mobile phone or reach out on Twitter, those kinds of things. So there are a few issues here where it is going to be one of those things where, as with most technology, we are downgrading. So we've gone from a somewhat reliable for the last couple of 100 years cable system to a new digital system, which is potentially not going to be as stable, but who knows? That is unfortunately the way things are going, and there's not a lot we can do about it. So hopefully that's answered most of your questions. If for any reason it hasn't done, then please do let us know in that comment section below, and we'll try and answer as many as we can. If you want a quicker response, we do have a Discord server, which you're more than welcome to join. It's completely free of charge. and you can come in there and ask technical questions, whether it be about PCs, whether it be about telephones, anything which really takes your fancy. You're more than welcome to ask those questions. So I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up. If you've enjoyed this video and have found it helpful, smash that like button. If you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, then maybe hit the subscribe button and the chime notification and you'll be notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.